Hello and welcome to the Forces Sports Show, your weekly roundup of the best action and biggest stories from across the services, coming up in the next half hour. Riding the Mountain of Hell, the injured British Forces athletes making history in the French Alps. Duel in the Pool, we've action from the Inter-Services Swimming Championships. And targeting gold, the Army's sharpest of shooters aiming for the Tokyo Olympic Games. 8 servicemen and women have made history by becoming the first disabled team ever to complete the fastest downhill race on the European mountain biking circuit. It's known as the Mountain of Hell. Some of the Forces team have severe mental health conditions, others physical injuries, but they joined 700 able-bodied riders in throwing themselves down one of the steepest descents in the Alps. Hannah King reports.
3,400 metres up. 700 riders at the top of a double black ski run in the Alps. And in the final rank, 8 injured military men and women, about to attempt what looks impossible.
Anytime you're the first person in the world to do something, it's a pretty big deal, isn't it?
Chris Jones, medically discharged in 1998, struggles to walk, can't pedal uphill. In 24 hours, he'll be the first man to attempt riding an electric bike down the Mountain of Hell.
I was told I'd never ride a bike again, so up yours, Doctor. Yeah, it's cool.
I'm one of the people that thinks it won't happen to me. It'll never happen to me. You know, 14, 16 years later, bang, just catches you out. I didn't even see it coming.
Sergeant Phil Winton suffers severe PTSD following service in Iraq and Afghanistan.
It wasn't until that day on Tank Park. I was gone, I was like, phew. But now, so a bit emotional. Now it's every day's a step.
2,700 milligrams of gabapentin, 50 milligrams of nortriptyline, 120 milligrams of codeine, 1,000 milligrams of paracetamol. I think that's it every day. But no, I mean, in terms of, all of those things I take for my physical injuries. This is my mental health medicine. It's about the best thing you can do. Get out and get active.
Simon has done his ankle in. It's very swollen.
Rachel Kipling, reserve rider, medically discharged in 2017 for mental health reasons.
And that puts you?
It puts me in the team, so I've had to cancel the French manicure.
And how are you feeling about tomorrow now?
I like to deal with things, it's tomorrow, I'll just do it tomorrow.
Andy wearing a bubble hat?
Oh yeah. I paid I don't know why I packed that, but that's a good idea. Bonjour.
At the top of the mountain, the atmosphere's electric.
Take it steady.
Come on, Philip. Time to do it.
The team have asked to start at the very back. With many suffering severe PTSD, hundreds of riders rushing by could be disastrous.
Be really nice, but be forceful. Remind them about the war.
Okay, race, go! Go, go, go!
The fastest bikers will ride the 25-kilometre route in around 30 minutes, reaching speeds of over 100 kilometres an hour. But for the military riders, it's all about the team, ensuring no man is left on the mountain.
Stay on it! Back brake! Back brake! Everyone except Harry?
Yeah. Yes.
Where is he?
There are no rules on how they get down.
Ask it if you need to, mate. Ask it if you need to. Ask it if you need to, that's it.
At the finish, the competitors are coming in thick and fast, but multiple punctures and falls have slowed the team down.
Man down! Man down!
At 11 o'clock, the route will close and they'll be pulled from the race.
Chris has gone down.
rider after rider comes in. And finally,
Amazing. So good.
You were terrified, really, weren't you?
I was so bad. My stomach was just all over the place.
That was daft, wasn't it?
with the highs come lows.
You're right. Was it horrible?
No, it wasn't horrible at all. It's but yeah, it was hard, but not for the reasons that you're thinking.
Can you explain?
No.
No.
I'm sure that a little later on, when I realise that that is the first e-bike ever to go down the mountain of hell, I'll be pleased. But I'm a little disappointed at the moment, mostly with myself. Whether there will be a next time with legs like mine, I honestly don't know. I mean, it would be difficult to try and put into words just how much I hurt at the moment, which is why I haven't moved and turned around for your interview. But quite frankly, I could just fall over and lie down here on the concrete.
It'll take time to sink in, but the team have made history, and perhaps they'll be back.
2, 1, smile!
The 2018 Inter-Services Swimming Championships have taken place in Portsmouth. The Army's women kept their 20-year hold on the title, while the RAF's men took another trophy in the service's centenary year. But as John Knighton saw the tournament, it also produced some record-breaking performances.
The Best Forces Swimmers, hosted by the Royal Navy at HMS Temeraire, in a championships where individual glory and team success go hand in hand, with 25 inter-service records up for grabs.
Well, the big question here in Portsmouth was whether the traditional winners of these titles would be beaten for the first time. The Navy men have dominated this event since the year 2000, having lost only one title, and it's an even bigger record for the Army women, unbeaten in 20 years of competition. Though last year it was the RAF who pushed them all the way.
And the Army women were in great form, spurred on by 3 new records, 2 of them set by Kath Baker, who broke a 12-year-old record in the 400 metres freestyle and then proceeded to smash her own 4x2 individual medley record set 5 years ago by a clear 10 seconds.
I'm really happy that I've set my own record, and as well in the 400 freestyle, and currently I'm really hard training, ready for nationals in 4 weeks' time, so I didn't expect to do that well at all.
It's been a good competition so far, and the RAF looks like they're doing pretty well. Now last year, I think you girls were pushed all the way by the Air Force, weren't you, in the team competition?
Yes, it was really close last year, and they're definitely pushing us this year as well. We've got a few new swimmers, but they have as well, and they're really pushing us to our maximum, so every little swim counts, really.
The 100 metres freestyle championship best had stood for 25 years, but Sian Harkin, who only joined the Army Reserve 3 weeks ago, took just under 3 seconds off that. Not a bad introduction to Army sport.
I didn't know what the record was, so I'm really happy with it, and I'm really happy with my 50 swim as well. We've just come back from a 2-week training camp in Cyprus with Coach Gary and Rob, so I feel like that helped me a lot, and we did a lot of race pace stuff, so yeah, I'm really happy with my swim.
A record-breaking day then for the Army women to go a full 2 decades unbeaten. But inter-service rivalry is far more important than breaking records. And in the men's competition, it was nip and tuck throughout the whole championships. The RAF men, who last won the title in 2014, making a massive challenge on the Navy with the Army close by. The RAF's Gareth Cox took the fastest race of the day, the 100 metres butterfly.
Been working hard throughout the year to try and really take it to the Navy this year. We came second to the Navy men last year, so we want to try and push for that win this year.
I think you're the last team to actually break a record that's gone on since the year 2000 for Navy domination.
Oh, fantastic. I've not been following the records, I've got to be honest. I'm just trying to, I imagine everyone else is, just to do our best and get some gold medals in the pool for the team.
We're lucky we have got strength in depth. So the guys that are that stepped up today really have given it their all. We're just a little bit thin on the squad numbers, so if we just had a few more available, it would have just meant we could shuffle the pack a little bit better in terms of tactics.
Going into the final relay races, it couldn't have been closer, only 3 points separating the Army, Navy and RAF men. The RAF took the first of them, the 4x2 medley, and in the very final race, the 6x2, it was the Navy who came in first, but the RAF better in the final tally by just 1 point, 90-89, with the Army on 87.
We've pretty much made a dent. Second time in about 20-30 years, so we're pretty chuffed to be able to look after these guys, and yeah, they've done a great job.
And it's the RAF centenary as well, another RAF team victory in sports this year.
Yes, it's fantastic, especially in the RAF 100 year, to be able to win it as well, bring it home for the RAF.
So the closest of championships, and they'll all be back to fight it out again at Cranwell next year.
Some athletics news. An Army track and field star, Danielle Hodgkinson, finished a creditable 10th in the women's 5,000 metres at the British Championships in Birmingham. The corporal, who serves with the Army Medical Services, ran a personal best of 16 minutes 22.68 as she made the top 10. Aldershot-based Olympian Steph Twell, who grew up with the forces, won the race to claim her 5th British title in the event. Army shooter Becky Carnell has enjoyed a sensational season on the range that has seen her rise to the top of the GB rankings. The Staff Sergeant is now gunning for a spot at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Army target pistol star Becky Carnell is honing in on a place at the Olympic Games in Tokyo in 2020. The Royal Military Police Staff Sergeant has shot to the top of the GB rankings and has been quick to endorse the Army's Troops to Target programme for helping her achieve the #1 position.
It's not just hard work, I think it's the rest of the team as well. It's everyone working together to make sure that we've got ranges and we've got ammunition and the weapons are serviced. A bit of luck and a lot of practice.
Becky's performances have been boosted thanks to the work she does with the strength and conditioning coach Michael Knott, courtesy of her elite athlete status and being part of the Talented Athlete Scholarship Scheme. She explains the physical impact shooting has on her body during training and competition and how effort in the gym has improved her game.
Your pistols are weighing between about 1.5 to 2.5 kilograms. And we're doing this many repetitions throughout the day, throughout the weeks. So Michael's been working on a lot of muscle strength with us for our core, so we're not swaying when we're shooting. Biceps, triceps, plus a lot of work with the lats. And also working, which people don't think it is, but a lot of endurance work as well. So our cardio, we're stood on the range for through training, we're here like for 6 hours a day, but competition time, the women's match is, it's over 2 hours long, so you've got to be patient, you've got to be able to stand there and hold that same position for a long time.
With just 2 years to go before the Tokyo Games, Becky knows she needs to consolidate her position at the top of the rankings.
Being #1 in GB at the moment isn't everything. You've got to stay there for starters, and so I need to keep putting in the scores. I still need one more qualification score before I can attend World Cups, so that's my current goal. Once I've got that, the next 12 months is just getting as much experience internationally as I can, and then hopefully as we get closer to the Olympics, I'll have a chance of being selected.
Becky's rankings rise comes after 3 members of the Army's Troops to Target scheme competed at this year's Commonwealth Games. She believes the success of the programme is down to their military skills and gives them an edge against opponents.
This is what we're trained to do, this is what we're used to. I think we've got that advantage, and I think that's why Troops to Target has done so well so quickly. We've already got the backbone, the marksmanship principles, and we're super competitive in the Army. So we have something over our civilian counterparts. I think we've just got that edge. So yeah, I do think it gives us an advantage.
Becky's Olympic qualification quest continues later in the summer when she competes on the international stage in Norway. In Rugby League, the Army women were unable to beat one of the top sides in the Women's Challenge Cup. Despite a battling display, they lost 46-10 to Leeds Rhinos. Meanwhile, fierce rivals Hull Kingston Rovers and Hull FC have united on the pitch to raise money for a new veterans village in the city. Kath Brazier has more.
This was a first, the two sporting halves of Hull playing alongside each other in the name of charity. In a specially designed shirt for the occasion, they were up against a team of military men and former internationals, including Mike Tindall and Tinas Delport. The union side was provided by Rugby for Heroes, who are helping service personnel transition to civilian life through the sport of rugby. They were coached by their ambassador, Nick Knowles. The TV presenter met Hull for Heroes founder Paul Matson on the DIY SOS Big Build Veterans Street in Manchester, and they soon came up with a plan for the Veterans Village.
Look, there is no doubt that people who understand best what it is to be a veteran and back in Civvy Street is a veteran who's back in Civvy Street. Paul has been there, done it, has been through the difficulties and the trials and tribulations that go with it, so knows what it's like to be in that position. So as the person to lead Hull for Heroes, that makes him absolutely ideal. What doesn't make it ideal is the fact that he doesn't spend any time with his family. He's taken on these massive things, and every time I have an idea and I ring him up for a cup of coffee, he ends up with another workload for the next 2 years. In fact, his family have officially told him he's not allowed to come and have coffee with me anymore. He's an extraordinary man, Paul. He's you know, a man who has been through the toughest times, but just won't let adversity get in the way.
The site itself is not just going to be for the veterans, it's going to be for the community as well. So we'll be living right on a housing estate, and I want this to be the full village, wants to be the full housing estate as well.
The designated site is 22 acres of vacant land that straddles two authorities, Hull City Council and East Riding of Yorkshire Council. One side will embrace the natural woodland of the area, the other will be utilised to construct both a residential village, horticultural facility and a visitors centre with shop and cafe.
Well, as we cross the bridge, it mainly will be the horticultural side of things. So we'll have, basically greenhouses all the way down. We'll have some cabins where we'll be doing different things inside, which will be a bit of woodwork, a bit of learning how to fix lawnmowers. There's all sorts of stuff on the horticultural side of things. But really, there'll be also geodesic domes on this side of things, so we'll get a bit of quietness going on in there. And there's a perfect clump of willow trees that create a perfect home when you walk inside of them as well, which are already here. It's absolutely fantastic. So.
Paul's vision is based on the fact that he himself struggled when he left the armed forces.
Everything is transitional. This is all about lads and lasses coming out of the forces and finding their feet in civilian life, really, and that's what we'll be doing is helping them find their feet, showing them how to get jobs, showing them what to do, showing them how to fill forms in, showing them how to live in civilian life, because that's a bit of a difficult thing sometimes, and it is when the door closes behind you, you do feel a little bit lost. Speaking to everybody and probably people listening and watching now, you feel like you've had something amputated, although you've got all your legs and arms there and things like that. So this is more about teaching you how to live another life, a further life.
Wanting to help, Paul set about renovating homes for local veterans. People like Dan Allinson, a former sergeant in the Yorkshire Regiment who now has motor neurone disease. And in May last year, Hull for Heroes transformed his house to make it completely wheelchair friendly.
Hull for Heroes do want to do things for Hull people, and I know I live in Beverley, but I'm included in that little set of people, and it made me very proud that it was Hull people helping Hull people. Even to the point where once all the work was completed and the house was finished, and what a great job they've done of it, I felt that I wanted to give back to them. So it was at that point that I started fundraising for Hull for Heroes. I started shouting about them at every opportunity, every possibility, and they accepted everything I'd done with great gusto, and then they went, do you know what? You can become an ambassador for us, and that was a great honour for me. They asked me to become an ambassador, and that just gave me the green light to just shout even more.
The hybrid rugby match in June was dedicated to Dan's wife and daughter. But the sad truth is that he may not live long enough to see the Veterans Village project completed. His legacy, though, will be wrapped up in it, because Hull for Heroes have not only united sports teams, but councils, building contractors and communities. Building is due to get underway early next year, with an expected completion date in 2020.
And that is it for this week. Don't forget you can see all the action as we get it on forces.net and this show and more on YouTube. The 2018 Rundle Cup takes place at Tidworth next weekend. We leave you with highlights from last year's event as the stars of Army and Navy polo battled it out for glory.